Nobody noticed Jalen Rivers when he walked into class. He wasn't popular, rich, or particularly talented, at least not by anyone's standards. He was the kid who wore secondhand clothes, always sat in the back row, and hardly ever spoke. At 12 years old, he had already learned how to disappear. His mother worked 2 jobs. His father was a name on a birth certificate. Jalen's world was a cracked apartment window, empty cupboards, and the hum of city sirens at night. But what Jalen had that no one saw was a spark. A tiny flame buried beneath layers of silence. A fire, waiting for the right moment. Jalen couldn't afford a phone or a computer, but he found an old pair of busted headphones in a garbage bin. He taped them up, borrowed a school tablet on weekends, and discovered something that made his heart beat louder. Music. He listened to everything: hip-hop, soul, jazz, orchestras. The more he listened, the more the world changed around him. He started writing lyrics on napkins, rapping to himself in whispers, making beats by tapping on desks. Every beat was a piece of his soul. But he didn't show anyone. He was just the poor kid who talked to himself. It happened during lunch. Someone had seen Jalen scribbling lyrics on a notebook. A kid named Troy, the class loudmouth, grabbed it and read it aloud in a mocking voice. Heart like thunder, pain like rain. What is this? Therapy? Everyone laughed, except one person. Leah Torres, the best singer in school. She walked up, snatched the book from Troy, and looked at the lyrics. She read them again, but this time softer, with weight. "These are good," she said. "Really good." Jalen froze. In that moment, something changed. For the first time in his life, someone saw the spark. Leah introduced Jalen to her cousin Romeo, who had a makeshift music studio in a garage, egg cartons on the walls, a microphone from the 90s, and a laptop held together with tape. It was perfect. Jalen recorded his first verse there. He called it "Nowhere Kid." The beat was raw, the vocals unpolished, but every word hit like truth. It wasn't flashy, it was real. Romeo uploaded it anonymously to SoundCloud. Within 24 hours, it had 0 plays. In a weekend, 0. A month, 100, 0. People didn't just listen, they felt it. Suddenly, Jalen wasn't invisible anymore. He was nowhere. That was the name he used. Simple, honest, poetic. Teachers whispered. Students stared. Even Troy looked nervous. But Jalen didn't change. He still took the bus, still wore the same hoodie, still wrote on napkins. But now, kids leaned in when he rapped under his breath. Leah became his duet partner. Romeo became his producer. And the fire grew. One rainy Friday, Jalen got called to the principal's office. Waiting there was a man in a black suit. "I'm Marcus Steele, talent scout. Heard your tracks." He slid a contract across the table. 6 figures, a studio album, a full tour. Jalen stared. Everything he'd ever dreamed of, right there. But he hesitated. He looked at the contract, then at his lyrics, scrawled in his pocket notebook. "Why me?" he asked. Marcus grinned. "Because you're not pretending." Jalen took a breath. Then he said, "Only if I keep full control of the music." The man blinked, then nodded. And just like that, the kid from nowhere said yes. Fame is a hungry beast. Within a year, Jalen's album, From the Back Row, topped charts. He performed on TV. Kids wore shirts that said, "Now hair is everywhere." But the pressure built. He was 17, running on coffee, criticism, and crowds. One night before a show, Jalen passed out backstage. The doctor said exhaustion, anxiety, lack of food. He stayed in a quiet hospital room for 2 weeks. No beats, no cameras, just silence. And for the first time since he started, he wondered if he'd made a mistake. On the third day, a nurse came in with an envelope. "Fan mail," she said. Jalen opened it. Inside was a crayon drawing, a stick figure holding a mic, standing on a stage. Beneath it, in a child's handwriting, "I'm poor too, but when I listen to you, I feel like I can do anything. Thank you. Love, Jordan, age 9. Jalen cried for the first time in years. Not because of pain, but because he remembered his why. He came back stronger, not just musically, but mentally. He took control of his schedule, started mentoring other young artists, built a foundation called the Nowhere Project to give kids from low-income families access to music equipment and training. He recorded a song called Kid with a Crown. It went platinum in a week. But this time, it wasn't about charts. It was about change. At age 21, Jalen was invited to give a speech at his old school. The auditorium was full. He stepped up, same hoodie, same headphones. He looked out at the crowd and said, "I used to sit right there in the back. I was quiet. I was scared. I was poor, and they told me I'd be nothing. But I had a spark, and now I use that fire to light up others." You don't need to be born a legend. You just need to believe you can become one. The room stood still, then rose to its feet. Today, Jalen Rivers is more than a musician. He's a movement. His lyrics are etched into skate parks and classrooms. His face is on murals beside quotes like, "You don't have to be seen to be somebody. Pain can build palaces." Legends are just kids who didn't quit. No one calls him Nowhere anymore. They call him what he always was, a legend. Moral of the story: you don't need a spotlight to start shining. Even the smallest spark, when believed in, can set the world on fire. You may feel like nobody, but one day, they'll write your name in gold.